Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the gateway process,
Okay.
specifically something called focus levels, kind of like a roadmap of consciousness. And we're going to figure out why these focus levels are so important to the whole system.
Sounds good.
And we got some excerpts from a fascinating document called Focus Levels, 7 Resonant Colors Described by Miranon. So let's set the stage for our listener.
Okay.
We're talking about the gateway process,
Right.
which uses specific techniques
Yeah.
to help people explore different states of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
These focus levels are like markers along the way.
Exactly. Think of it like this in the gateway process. You're learning to intentionally shift your brain frequency.
Okay.
And that's where focus levels come in.
Okay.
Each level,
Wow.
labeled with a number,
Yeah.
like F1 or F10, represents a distinct state of awareness.
Okay, so brain frequency, that's referring to brainwave activity, right? Like
Yeah.
the different types of brainwaves we experience when we're awake, asleep, or meditating.
You got it.
Okay.
And the gateway process uses a technology called hemisync, which uses specific sound frequencies to help guide your brainwaves into these different states.
Okay.
It's like a gentle nudge in the right direction.
Interesting. So it's not just about willpower.
Right.
There's actually a technological component helping you reach these different focus levels.
Yeah.
But what's the point of shifting your brain frequency in the first place?
Right.
What's the goal of exploring these different states of awareness?
Well, think about it like this. You're not just shifting into these states.
Uh-huh.
You're learning to remain aware and remember the experience.
Okay.
The gateway process is about expanding your consciousness
Yeah.
and bringing back those insights and experiences to enrich your waking life.
I see. So it's not just about spacing out. It's about gaining knowledge and understanding.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these focus levels, which are basically different states of awareness that
Yeah.
we can access by intentionally shifting our brain frequency.
Uh-huh.
But now let's talk about this mysterious Miranon.
Okay.
The source material describes them as a consciousness encountered during these sessions at the Monroe Institute.
Right. And Miranon provides some really interesting perspectives on these focus levels.
Okay.
Going beyond the basic information taught in the Gateway course,
Okay.
it's like getting bonus material from a higher source, so to speak.
Okay, so hold on. We're talking about an actual entity communicating with people during these sessions.
Well, the details of how Miranon communicated aren't entirely clear from the source material,
Yeah.
but what's intriguing is that Miranons seem to have a particularly strong connection
Yeah.
with a specific explorer named Leona,
Uh-huh.
who they called SE in the sessions.
So there's a personal connection there, which
Right.
makes it even more mysterious.
Yeah.
Okay, so Miranon, this consciousness, is providing deeper insights into focus levels.
Yes.
But before we get into that,
Okay.
let's back up a bit.
Right.
Why are these focus levels so important within the gateway process?
Focus levels act as a framework
Okay.
for understanding and navigating the vast landscape of consciousness.
Okay.
Imagine trying to describe a dream to someone who's never dreamt before. It would be difficult. Right?
Definitely. You'd need some shared language
Yeah.
or reference point to even begin to communicate the experience.
Exactly. And that's what focus levels do.
No.
They give explorers a common language to describe and compare their experiences.
Uh-huh.
It's like having a map for a very personal journey.
So it's about making these subjective experiences
Yeah.
more objective and shareable.
Exactly. And within the gateway process,
Yeah.
focus levels are woven into everything.
Uh-huh.
The techniques, the terminology,
Yeah.
even the community aspect.
Okay.
It helps people connect and learn from each other's experiences.
So it's not just about individual exploration.
Right.
It's about building a collective understanding of consciousness.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to grasp the significance of these focus levels.
Good.
But now I'm really curious about this whole 7 resonant colors thing.
Okay.
Can we dive into that a bit?
Absolutely. Let's start with the blue levels.
Okay.
They're all about that raw, unfiltered experience of the present moment
Uh-huh.
before you label it or judge it.
Okay.
It's pure awareness.
Okay.
Imagine gazing at a starry sky, feeling the awe and wonder before any thoughts even form.
So blue is about that pure sensory experience,
Okay.
the being rather than the thinking part of awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that the blue levels also suggest different dimensions of reality.
Yeah.
At lower levels, it might be your familiar physical reality. But as you move to higher octaves, it
Yeah.
becomes more about subjective realities.
Hold on, different dimensions. Are we talking parallel universes here?
Not necessarily parallel universe. Okay.
But perhaps different layers or frequencies of reality.
Okay.
The source material gives an example how experiencing a rock falling might be totally different at focus level 1 compared to, say, focus level 8.
Okay.
It implies that our perception,
Yeah.
shaped by the focus level,
Okay.
determines the reality we experience.
Okay, that's starting to bend my mind a bit.
Yeah.
So we've got these blue levels of pure awareness.
Yes.
What comes next in this cycle of colors?
Well, after that initial experience, it's natural to start making sense of it, right?
Okay.
That's where the red levels come in.
Okay.
Red is all about reflection and interpretation.
Okay.
It's where your personal lens, your ego,
Okay.
starts to color those experiences.
So if blue is experiencing, red is processing.
Exactly. You're analyzing, forming opinions,
Yeah.
and creating your own narrative about what happened.
Okay.
For instance, if you had a negative encounter with someone
Uh-huh.
at the red level, you might start forming judgments about them
Yeah.
based on that one interaction.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
We all have those mental models
Right.
we create based on our experiences.
Mhm.
It's like we're constantly filtering reality through our own personalized lens.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the source material suggests that this filtering process can be both helpful and limiting.
Uh-huh.
It helps us make sense of the world,
Right.
but it can also lead to biases and distortions if we're not careful.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we move beyond those limitations? What comes after red in this color cycle?
Well, that's where yellow comes in.
Okay.
Yellow is all about balance.
Okay.
It's where you start to reconcile those red level interpretations with the raw reality of the blue level.
So it's like fact-checking your own opinion.
Exactly.
Making sure you're not just letting your biases run wild.
Exactly. It's about seeking a more objective understanding. You're asking yourself, okay, here's what I think happened.
Does that align with the actual experience? Are there other perspectives I'm not considering?
This is making me think about how I approach information in my own life.
Right.
It's like we're constantly going through this cycle of experience, interpretation,
Yeah.
and then this crucial step of reconciliation.
You're spot on. And what's fascinating is that this cycle doesn't just apply to our conscious thoughts and experiences.
Okay.
The source material suggests that it operates on a much deeper level, influencing our perceptions and even our reality itself.
Okay, now my mind is really starting to spin.
It's a lot to take in.
But before we get too deep into that rabbit hole, I think we need to take a little break.
Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll explore the remaining colors in this cycle and delve into what it means to experience ourselves as multidimensional beings.
I look forward to it. Welcome back. We've been exploring this fascinating concept of focus levels in the 7 resonant colors from the document Focus Levels, 7 Resonant Colors, described by Miranon.
Right. And we're just starting to scratch the surface of how these colors can provide insights into our experiences and even different layers of reality.
Absolutely. We left off talking about the yellow level,
Yeah.
where we start to reconcile our interpretations with the raw experience.
Right.
But this journey through the colors doesn't stop there.
Okay, I'm ready for the next layer. What comes after we've done that balancing act in yellow?
That's where we move into the rose levels.
Okay.
And things get a bit more, well, I hesitate to use the word mystical,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a shift into a more intuitive and healing space.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these rose levels.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
You've gone through an experience,
Yeah.
blue.
Right.
You've analyzed and interpreted it, red.
Uh-huh.
And you've tried to balance your perspective, yellow. Rose is where you seek deeper understanding,
Okay.
healing and guidance related to all of that. It's
Really?
like integrating the lessons learned and finding a sense of resolution.
So it's not just about thinking through things logically.
Right.
It's about tapping into a deeper level of wisdom.
Precisely. It's about letting go of the ego's tight grip
Uh-huh.
and opening yourself to insights that might come from beyond your usual conscious awareness.
Okay.
Imagine going through a tough breakup, for example.
Yeah.
Rose might be where you process the emotional pain,
Uh-huh.
seek support from friends or a therapist,
Right.
and ultimately find a way to forgive and move forward.
That's such a great example. It highlights how rose can help us navigate those challenging emotional experiences that we all go through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source material suggests that the rose levels can be a powerful space for healing old wounds and traumas,
Right.
allowing us to release limiting patterns and step into a more empowered version of ourselves.
Okay, so we've moved through experience,
Yeah.
analysis, balance,
Wow.
and healing.
Right.
What's the next step in this cycle?
Well, once you've gained those insights and done some inner work, it's time to integrate them into your everyday life.
Okay.
That's where green comes in.
Green. That sounds grounding.
It is.
Yeah.
Green represents the integration of new knowledge and abilities into your being.
Okay.
It's that sense of, I am okay,
Right.
that emerges after you've processed an experience and come to terms with it.
Okay.
You're not just thinking about it anymore. You're
Yeah.
embodying it.
So if rose is about seeking guidance,
Uh-huh.
green is about actually putting those lessons into practice.
Exactly. Think about learning a new skill,
Okay.
like playing an instrument.
Uh-huh.
You go through the initial excitement of learning the basics, blue,
Right.
the frustration of hitting roadblocks, red,
Yeah.
the adjustments you make to improve, yellow,
Yeah.
the support you seek from a teacher or fellow musicians, rose,
Yeah.
green, is that moment when it finally clicks.
Right.
And you can play a piece effortlessly, almost without thinking.
That's a perfect analogy. It really highlights how green is about incorporating those new understandings into our actions and our way of being.
Right. And the source material emphasizes that this integration process can lead to profound personal growth and transformation.
Okay, so we've moved through 5 colors now.
Yes.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Well,
Each color builds on the previous one,
yes,
leading us deeper into this exploration of consciousness.
exactly.
What are the final 2 colors in this cycle?
Well, after grounding those insights in green,
Uh-huh.
we move into purple,
Okay.
which is all about transcendence.
Transcendence, that sounds powerful. Can you give me an example of what that might look like?
Imagine you've been working really hard to achieve a specific goal,
Okay.
like running a marathon or writing a book.
Yep.
You've put in the time and effort, you've faced setbacks and doubts,
Yeah.
but you've kept pushing forward.
Right.
Purple is that moment when you cross the finish line or hold your finished manuscript in your hands. It's that feeling of exhilaration and accomplishment,
Right.
but it's also a sense of realizing that you've tapped into a source of strength and resilience within yourself that you didn't even know you had.
Wow, that's such a vivid image. It's like those moments where we realize we're capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
Precisely. And the Miranon material suggests that the purple levels are where we start to see new possibilities and connect with a deeper sense of purpose.
Okay.
It's like we're shedding old limiting beliefs and stepping into a more expansive version of ourselves.
Okay, so purple is about breaking through limitations and expanding our potential.
Yes.
What about the final color, white?
White is fascinating.
Okay.
Think of it like the spaces between the notes in a musical piece.
Uh-huh.
It's not so much a specific state of consciousness,
Okay.
but rather a transition point between the different color groups.
So it's like a bridge between different levels of awareness.
Exactly. It represents those moments of shift. Those subtle or sometimes dramatic changes in perception as we move from one level to the next.
Right.
Think about the moment a child first recognizes themselves in a mirror.
Yeah.
It's a seemingly simple event,
Uh-huh.
but it represents a profound shift in self-awareness.
Right.
That's the energy of white.
Okay, so we've got this entire spectrum of colors,
Yeah.
each representing a different phase in our journey through consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's really starting to paint a picture of how we process experiences,
Right.
integrate lessons,
Yeah.
and ultimately evolve as individuals.
Right.
But I'm curious, we've been focusing on these colors,
Yep.
but the source material is called focus levels.
Uh-huh.
How do these two concepts connect? Are these colors just another way of describing the different focus levels?
That's a great question. It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
The colors actually add another layer of understanding to the focus levels.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Each group of 7 focus levels is associated with one of these colors. So, for example, you have the blue levels, F1, F7,
Uh-huh.
the red levels, F8, F14,
Right.
and so on.
Oh, I see. So the colors represent a cycle that repeats through the different focus levels,
Exactly.
like the spiral staircase, where you're moving up through different levels of awareness,
Yeah.
but you're also cycling through these different phases of experience, processing, and integration.
That's a beautiful way to visualize it.
Yeah.
And the source material suggests that this cyclical nature of the colors highlights the ongoing process of growth and evolution.
Right.
We're constantly moving through these different stages, deepening our understanding of ourselves and the universe around us.
Okay, that's starting to make a lot of sense. But let's talk more about these focus levels themselves.
Okay.
We've touched on the idea that they represent different states of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually mean in practical terms?
Right.
What kinds of experiences might someone have as they move through these levels?
Well, the source material offers some fascinating descriptions of specific focus levels. For example, it describes focus level 11 as the access channel, where you can program your physical body with desired abilities.
Wait, program your physical body? What does that even mean?
It's a bit hard to wrap your head around,
Yeah.
but the idea is that at this level, you can access a deeper level of your being and influence your physical reality in ways that might seem impossible in ordinary waking consciousness.
Okay, that's definitely pushing the boundaries of my current understanding. Are there any other examples of the kinds of experiences people might have at these higher focus levels?
The material also talks about focus level 27 as a thought-responsive environment,
Okay.
where you can manifest objects,
Uh-huh.
often described as a park-like setting.
A thought-responsive environment.
Yeah.
So you're saying that our thoughts actually have the power to shape reality at that level?
That's what the source material suggests. It's like stepping into a world where your imagination becomes tangible.
Wow, that's blowing my mind. But before we get too carried away with these fantastical possibilities, let's bring it back to our listener for a moment.
Oh, okay.
Why should they care about all of this?
Right.
What's the practical application of understanding these focus levels and resonant colors?
Well, imagine if you could approach everyday challenges, a difficult conversation,
Yeah.
a creative block,
Uh,
even a personal crisis,
yeah.
with the awareness that you have the ability to shift your state of consciousness.
Right.
You could tap into different perspectives,
Uh-huh.
access deeper resources,
Mm-hmm.
and navigate those experiences with more grace and understanding.
That's powerful. It's like we're not just at the mercy of our circumstances.
Right.
We have the power to change our internal state and potentially influence our external reality.
Exactly.
But let's be real, these concepts are pretty far out there.
Yeah.
Some people might be skeptical about the whole idea of focus levels, resonant colors,
Yeah.
and especially encountering other beings in these altered states.
Sure.
How would you address those concerns?
That's a fair point. I think it's healthy to approach these ideas with a critical mind.
Okay.
The gateway process and the information from Miranon offer a framework for understanding consciousness,
Right.
but it's ultimately up to each individual to explore and decide what resonates with them.
Yeah.
What I find fascinating is that even if we set aside the more extraordinary claims,
Right.
the basic principles of the focus levels, the idea that we can intentionally shift our state of awareness and gain valuable insights from those experiences can be incredibly empowering.
You're right. It's about exploring these concepts with an open mind without necessarily accepting everything as absolute truth.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts on how our listener can continue exploring these ideas and perhaps even start their own journey through the focus levels.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been unpacking this incredible concept of focus levels and the 7 resonant colors from the document about Miranon's teachings.
Yeah. It's a lot to digest,
It is.
but it's definitely making me question my assumptions about the nature of reality.
It's a real paradigm shift, isn't it? This
Yeah.
idea that we're not just passive observers,
Right.
but active participants in creating our own reality
Yeah.
through our state of consciousness.
Absolutely. And it seems like the deeper we dive into these focus levels,
Yeah.
the more those boundaries between our internal and external worlds start to blur.
That's a great observation.
Mhm.
The source material really emphasizes this interconnectedness
Yeah.
between our consciousness and the fabric of reality.
Uh-huh.
It suggests that as we move through the focus levels,
Yeah.
we're not just expanding our awareness,
Right.
we're actually tapping into different layers or frequencies of existence.
Okay, so let's bring it back to our listener for a moment.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground brain frequencies, hemisync, resonant colors,
Right.
thought-responsive environments.
Yeah,
It's mind-blowing stuff,
it is.
but it can also feel a bit abstract.
So what's the takeaway message here? Why should our listener care about all of this?
Well, I think the most profound takeaway is that we have more agency than we realize.
Okay.
We're not just stuck in this one fixed reality. We have the potential to shift our state of consciousness,
Right.
access deeper levels of awareness,
Yeah.
and potentially influence our experiences in ways that might seem extraordinary.
So it's not just about meditation or exploring altered states for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about unlocking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe,
Yeah.
and then using that knowledge to navigate life more skillfully.
Exactly. Imagine approaching a challenging situation,
Mhm.
not just with your usual thoughts and emotions,
Yeah.
but with the awareness that you can tap into different states of consciousness,
Okay.
access different perspectives,
Right.
and potentially draw on a much wider range of resources.
Yeah.
That's empowering, isn't it?
It is. It's like we're not just playing the hand we're dealt.
Right.
We have the ability to change the game altogether.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real beauty of the gateway process and the insights offered by Miranon.
Yeah.
It invites us to become explorers of our own consciousness,
Uh-huh.
to question our assumptions about what's possible,
Right.
and to step into a more expansive and empowered way of being.
So for our listener who's hearing all this for the first time,
Yeah.
it might seem a bit overwhelming.
Right.
Where would you suggest they start if they're intrigued by these concepts and want to explore further?
Well, the document we've been discussing, Focus Levels, 7 Resonant Colors, described by Miranon, is a great starting point.
Okay.
It lays out the basic framework and provides some fascinating food for thought.
And for those who are ready to take the plunge,
Yeah.
the gateway process itself offers a structured approach to exploring these different states of consciousness
Right?
through guided meditations and hemisync technology.
Right. And of course, there are countless other paths and practices that can support this exploration of consciousness, meditation, yoga, breath work,
Uh-huh.
spending time in nature.
Right.
It's really about finding what resonates with you
Yeah.
and starting to cultivate that awareness of your own inner landscape.
I love that. It's a reminder that this journey of exploring consciousness is a personal one.
Yeah.
There's no one right way to do it.
Absolutely. It's about curiosity, experimentation,
Wow.
and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone. Who
Mhm.
knows what incredible discoveries await you on the other side?
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Okay.
But remember, this is just the beginning of the exploration.
Right.
We encourage you to continue diving deep, asking questions,
Yes.
and expanding your awareness.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep those minds open and those frequencies high.
I like it.